And welcome to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Mike Luciano. I don't know why the stream cut out all of a sudden, the intro, but here we are a little bit early, I guess,
That's so
because,
funny. Hey.
because the tech problems continue to persist with us here. For those that don't know, we're sorry about last week's show. Justin Fried is here too. Last week's show, I don't know what happened. My internet was working fine for however long, and then all of a sudden we start the show and it's cutting in and out to the point where it just would have been a disservice to do the whole show. But now we are reloaded and ready to go with this new show. We got a lot of good stuff for today. We're going to talk about some training camp stuff. We're also going to go and do a little bit of a fun little mini game that we think could be really interesting, especially in these kind of dog days of summer. So, Justin, with that very quick intro, how are you doing?
This is Bizarro World. You've never done the intro before, first of all. So that was weird. I feel weird being the second one to talk here.
I've usurped you here.
Second, we're gonna curse out Restream, bro. How did that even just happen? I don't know what that was.
Okay. I don't know either, but
I'm feeling good, buddy. I am very happy to be back. It's been a couple of weeks. For once, I'm not in a different city, and your internet is hopefully working. And
my internet has worked amazing at this place, except for that exact hour when we had to do a show last week.
Well, your power went out. It's not even your internet.
It wasn't even it was the power, but the internet was there and it kept going on and off, and it would connect for 5 seconds and come off. I'm like, know what? We can't do an hour-long live podcast.
Well, listen, I'm very, very excited for this show because we've been planning for a couple of weeks to debut this. So we're going to get to it at the very end, but it's called the Jet Press Roulette. We will get to it later. It's going to be some fun mini games, especially because it's the middle of July. And what is there to talk about? Well, we'll talk about a few things before we get to that point. But
we don't have Rogers to keep us busy this time.
Yeah, I'm personally very excited for it. I don't know how it's going to go in a live format. This is going to be very experimental. And I guess you guys are just along for the ride with us. But first, before we get to that, Mike, you want to talk about some NFL Top 100? You want to talk about surprise?
Before we do all that, Justin, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We are on all those platforms. And you can subscribe on YouTube. We're at 11:30 right now, which we're very excited about. You could also donate 99 cents. You get to be part of our membership program where you get priority reply in the comments. Make sure you get that before the season starts, because when we do those post-game chats, things get really crazy, and you can help yourself stand out from a lot of rival fan chats who come in to muddy the waters a lot. Steelers fans, I remember, were very cool about it. Raiders fans did that a lot on our last post-game show. We got a lot of them. Chiefs too. So we have Steelers week 1. You never know. Maybe we get another one. I think that's still our most viewed stream. Was the post game when they got crushed by the Steelers on Sunday night. I think that's still the most viewed.
Oh, we got a revenge narrative for both the Jets and the Jet Press podcast coming.
We do. So let's just get right into it before Restream decides to make my computer explode and cut the stream short. Let's go and talk about the NFL Top 100.
Hell yeah.
Why are we talking about the NFL Top 100 when it's a goofy player list? Well, because I don't think the Jets are going to have a lot of guys very high on it. Really only one player has been revealed so far, and that is Quinn Williams, all the way down at 87, which is a sharp drop from where he was, like 30, 40 spots down from where he was last year. And I don't like the implication that has for the rest of the roster, because that probably means Quincy Williams is taking a tumble. It probably means Garrett Wilson may even take a tumble, because he was good last year, but I think people expected him to kind of make that jump to elite with Aaron Rodgers, and he didn't. He's still good, but didn't really have the leap some people may have thought. And Sauce Gardner is going to go down because the fact he allows the fewest catches of any cornerback in the league. This narrative exists that he's bad. I don't know why. Like, you know those narratives that Luka Doncic is a bad player? You know that's going on? Yeah, apparently.
He's a bad player? Is that a thing?
Well, that's the comparison, is that he's good. Goodness. He's that level of good, and people just say, no, not only is he not as good as you say he is actually bad.
I've seen that about Giannis too, and I'm like, what are we doing?
About Giannis?
What's going on? People have been saying Paolo Banchero is better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's been a take.
Are these people either sober or over 5 years of age?
Well, they live in Florida likely, because they're probably Magic fans. So that might. No offense to Florida viewers, but
like they're not the second most popular team in their own state even. And I like the Magic. I like Banchero a lot. He's Italian. He got Val on the end of his last name. But
sure.
Back to the Jets. Quinnen at 87 is, I don't want to use hyperbolic phrases, a disservice, disgraceful, or something like that, but you can't put him that low. And I know the numbers are never going to be, they're not elite. They weren't last year. And he's really only had the 1 year of the elite sack production. He's always been one of those pressures over sack guys, like a Jadeveon Clowney on the edge, how he never had 15 sacks a year, but he's always impacting plays, always demanding two blockers. I think he's always been one of the most double-teamed edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
That's Quinnen Williams on the interior. You would think that players who know more ball, they've forgotten more ball than me and Justin will know. Like, we'll give you that. You would think they would recognize the situation Quinnen was in last year and rate him appropriately. But I guess because Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, that whole tornado of chaos, this is part of the shrapnel and part of the wreckage. Is everybody thinks the Jets are a tire fire, which they normally are. And Quinnen Williams got shafted as a result. I'd imagine Quincy is either coming up soon or he's not going to be on the list at all, which is a real shame because these guys are both, I think, top 50 players just based on their own merit.
Yeah, I think this year especially, you're going to see that Jets tax. And I don't even want to call it like a Jets tax specifically because I don't think it's specific to the Jets. I think it's specific to bad teams get shafted in these rankings. Because the last
Especially if you're not a wide receiver or a running back or something like that, typically that can shine through on a bad team.
Because the last couple of years when there was a bit more hype around the Jets, obviously the arrival of Aaron Rodgers and then the return of Aaron Rodgers, 2023, they had Sauce Gardner ranked at 23, Quinnen Williams was at 40, CJ Mosley was at 46, Aaron Rodgers was at 51, Garrett Wilson was at 74, and our friend Dalvin Cook was at 91. Dalvin Cook made the top 100 his first year at the Jets.
By the way, CJ Mosley recently retired, is now becoming an agent. We're starting his own agency. So good for CJ Mosley.
That is very awesome. Good for him. And then last year, weirdly enough, I forgot about this. Quincy Williams was the Jets' highest ranked player at 32, then Quinnen at 37. So Quinnen falls 50 spots. 50 spots.
50.
Sauce Gardner somehow fell 15 spots to 38 last year, despite also being first team All-Pro again. Don't know why that happened. He was below Tua Tagovailoa, so that's funny.
Who put Tua top 4? Who did that?
Tua was 36 last year.
36.
Jordan Love was 34. Oh my God.
Is Tua even 136?
Deebo Samuel was 8 spots higher than Sauce. That's unbelievable.
Oh, good hell.
This is crazy. Anyway, and then also last year, Garrett Wilson was 72. And then Hassan Reddick was 87. Aaron Rodgers, 92.
I wish I could have seen him. Guess we didn't get to see him.
Yeah, we don't know if maybe he would have been top 100 if he actually played for the Jets and didn't hold out for half the year. But yeah, all of that is to say, I am not expecting the Jets to have as many players ranked this year. Sauce Gardner feels like in no world should this even be a debate that he's going to make it. I'm just concerned that he fell 15 spots last year when he was, again, arguably, I think his first 2 years, you can make a very strong case that each year he was the best cornerback in the NFL. I think the only guy in 2023 that held a candle to him was Jalen Johnson. But the fact that he fell 15 spots that year, when he was still maybe the best corner in football, I'm really worried about where he's going to fall. Because we can all admit
that he's probably going to be that low in Surtain, who I'll give you maybe Surtain better, but the fact he's going to be like 3 or 4 or 5 and Sauce is going to be in that can't be right. There can't be that wide of a chasm.
What continues to be astounding to me is the fact that Sauce Gardner got all this hate for last year for his admittedly down year. Like, no one is denying that 2024 was not the worst year of Sauce Gardner's 3 years in the NFL. Of course, his first 2 years, again, he was maybe the best corner in football. So anything short of that,
the best seasons any cornerback has ever had.
Right. So anything short of that would have been his worst season. But he still finished last year with the fewest catches allowed of any corner in football. Was still a very good, I would say a top 10 cornerback in the NFL. And while the tackling issues were a problem, he only missed 4 tackles over the last 9 games of the year. So they got better as the season went on. The 10 penalties also were an issue that matched his total combined from his first 2 years. But it's also not like not in line with some of the other guys. I mean, Pat Surtain, who was Defensive Player of the Year, had more penalties than Sauce Gardner did last year. And more on that Surtain comparison, because it's, again, crazy to me that Gardner got as much flack as he did for his 2024 season. Sauce Gardner allowed 391 coverage yards in 2024, which was the worst that he had. It's his worst season. Pat Surtain in 2023 allowed over 700 yards in coverage. Nobody talks about that. Nobody mentions Pat Surtain's 2023 season. In fact, after 2023, despite Sauce Gardner being first-team All-Pro consecutive seasons, there were still people saying, "Oh, Surtain is currently better than Sauce Gardner." That was a very popular take. Despite
people forget too, if you do the math, that's 23 yards a game.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
Despite Surtain, you just did the math. I heard the typing. Despite Surtain, not to call you out.
I'm sorry, math teachers. I can't do 391 by 17 in my head.
Sorry.
That's why we're writers.
It popped in my head. But yeah, it's crazy to me that Surtain has been able to get away with, like, this is not to disparage Pat Surtain, who absolutely, if you want to say he's the best cornerback in the NFL, I will not disagree. He just won Defensive Player of the Year and was phenomenal in 2024. But it's just crazy to me that he's probably going to be ranked top 15, and I'm expecting Gardner. I mean, if he was 38 last year, I mean, is he going to be top? He's not going to be top 50, probably. If he's falling 15 spots between 2022 and 2023, or 23 and 24, surely he has to fall more this year. So I don't know, but Quincy,
I want to see. It would be fun to see if you could, like, where positions rank people. Like, I want to see if interior offensive linemen rank defensive tackles higher than most. I bet if you polled everybody who voted in this thing, you might be, in the 60s, 70s, whatever. I bet if you ask the wide receivers, I bet he's a lot higher than he's going to be.
As Zachary Berner in chat said, the only thing PS2 has over Sauce interceptions. Absolutely.
And he's a better tackler, but again,
he's a much better tackler. The ball skills.
Quarterback tackling, I've said this before, is like tight end blocking, and that, like, people only, like, it's important, obviously, but amongst debating fans, people only really care about it when they're narrative building. Like, remember Kelsey versus Gronk argument? Oh, Kelsey can't block.
Yeah.
Like, that's when only the time people care. Really, and Gronk was Gronk obviously blocked. Kelsey's not a bad blocker. He's just okay at it. That's really when people only care about Sauce's tackling outside of Jets fans, is to put Surtain over him.
I forget who said, I think it might have been Joe Blewett on Twitter said this the other day, where it was like, remember when Jets fans were falling in love with Bless Austin because he was a good tackler? Yeah, it's just
was he even a good tackler?
He was. He had a few ferocious hits where that I think people like latched onto that. I think that's a good reason or a good example to show, like, hey, maybe tackling isn't everything when it comes to corners. It's important. Like, no doubt that Sauce Gardner should be a better tackler. He needs to improve on that, and I think he did as the year went on. But yeah, he is still, in my mind, a top 30 player in the NFL. I don't think there are many more valuable non-quarterbacks in the league than Sauce Gardner.
And that's why he's going to get paid what he's going to get paid.
Garrett with an interesting question here. He says, where is Vera Tucker? Elijah Vera Tucker on the 100. He was arguably the fourth best guard in the league. I wouldn't put him that high.
Was he even the best guard on the Jets last year? I thought Simpson was better.
I think that's a fair question. Right. I think last year Vera Tucker had the 10th highest PFF grade amongst guards, and I think Simpson was 11th. I think they were both good. Vera Tucker's a very good player. I think Jets fans after his rookie year got a little quick to anoint him as like an all-pro caliber player. I think right now he's just a rock solid, above average starter. Bordering maybe in the top 10, top 15 guards. I don't think he's going to go in the top 100, especially since offensive guards already get snubbed as it is. Like, even the best of the best. Creed Humphrey, who is maybe the best center in football, is 93rd on the list.
Below Tua.
Like, that's who else is he below? He's below Jesse Bates, which is
Andrew Van Ginkel,
just the ghost of Jesse Bates. Yeah, Andrew Van Ginkel is a good player, but below Kyron Williams. Look, I like Kyron Williams. Creed Humphrey is so much better at his position than Kyron Williams is at his. It's just, there's certain positions that get snubbed. Obviously, like, guard is going to be one of them. I don't expect any of the Jets offensive linemen to make it, because I don't think the Jets have one offensive lineman that is a top 100 player in the NFL, but they have 5. Assuming Armand Membu is who the Jets think he is, they have 5 good ones.
And looking at the top 100 too, I think the big injustice that is really going to happen is I think Quincy is going to fall maybe out of it.
You think out altogether? So
I don't think it's unreasonable, because
he was 32 last year.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable. He was not as good last year.
I agree.
I think his bad year from 2024 was worse than Sauce's decline or Quinnen's decline or anything like that. Like, there were times, like, I don't think Quincy's like an all-pro every year. I think that was kind of his peak, and then he's going to be very, very good for a long time. Like, I don't know if he's going to ever make another first-team all-pro ever again. So because of that, and I think just because of name recognition, I think that C.J. Mosley, while still good, was not obviously what he was in Baltimore his first couple years with the Jets. And I think people always lean on the name recognition of Mosley, and they go, oh, Quincy was inferior to that, and then he's going to keep going down. So there's a lot of factors. And his brother, he's not even the best brother on his team. So I think there's going to there's a lot of factors. We talked about before the show about Zach Allen being that low, because there's just not a lot of things that pop about him marketing wise and getting people to know him.
Boring name, second team. He was a day 2
Exactly. I
pick.
think a lot of that works against Quincy.
Yeah, it's fair. I would agree if it wasn't for the fact that he was 32nd. Like, he was the highest graded player on the Jets last year. That's shocking.
Yeah, but are the voters of the top 100 going to know that?
I think clearly he had enough name value to be ranked ahead of Sauce last year, which is, I mean, that's downright ridiculous to me. Like, I mean, okay, I don't want to say ridiculous because Quincy Williams was fantastic in 2023.
Do people not remember how good Sauce? Like,
yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's
just not know what they're watching here.
I think there's just a very popular narrative that he's overrated, and that's seeped into some of the players too. And they just are like, yeah, he is overrated. We agree. Anyone who plays him,
overrated or underrated is the best because you don't have to like. You can provide the most minuscule points in either way, and then you're like, oh, another argument won.
I think
I hate that.
I think Quincy will end up making it. I think he'll definitely fall a bit, and I still think Garrett makes it. If Garrett Wilson was 72,
Garrett, I think stays flat. He'll probably be in the 70s again.
Yeah, because he was 74 in 2023, 72 in 2024, or I'm sorry, 72. He should. There's nothing that would say he should be not around. Like, what has he done?
He had the same year he's always had.
Right, he's done the exact same
catches,
thing.
1,100 yards, like 7 touchdowns. That's what he is.
Making the most of bad quarterback play and a terrible offense overall. Like, I think there's no reason why he shouldn't be around the same. I think Quincy will fall. Do you think any other players on the roster that haven't been there before sneak in? Like, there's one name that immediately comes to mind as somebody who I think would be on the fringe, but I don't think they'll get it. That's Jamie Sherwood. I don't think Jamie Sherwood gets it, but I think on merit,
if he got it, he would have been in by now. Like,
I think Sherwood was that's true. I think Sherwood was a top 100 player in the NFL last year. I think Sherwood was a very good player. I honestly I think he was better than Quincy Williams last year. I think he had a better season than Quincy Williams did. Both of them were very good. And I still think Quincy had a good year. It's so hard when looking at this Jets roster because basically everyone regressed last year. There are extremely few players who had like actual career years, like John Simpson, Jamie Sherwood. Basically, the only two that immediately come to mind is dudes who actually
that might be it.
Legitimately, who are like actually.
Pittman's young. I don't know if that count a career.
Yeah, like Tippmann, sure, but that's like it's his second year.
Yeah, that doesn't really count.
As a full-time starter. Like guys who had been, I mean, Sherwood, I guess that was his first year as a full-time starter too. So sure, you can throw Tippmann in there, but it's very few. Whereas you look at the guys on the roster who regressed, I mean, it's damn near all of them. I mean, from Breece Hall to Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Quincy Williams, DJ Reed had a worse year. Like Michael Carter fell off a cliff and was dealing with injuries. Like
Rodgers.
Will McDonald. Will McDonald broke.
Oh yeah, Will McDonald, but he's not top 100.
Right. Yeah, he's not going to be. And that's, I mean, I get why Will McDonald's not top 100. I don't think he's a top 100 player in the NFL, but I do think if he was on a better defense and a better team, he would probably be getting that hype.
He does it again this year. They might think about it.
Yeah, probably. Like, where do you think? Because he's almost like a Nick Bonito type, right? That's Nick Bonito is probably more versatile than McDonald. They have him dropping coverage.
McDonald like just can't defend the run at all. Bonito attempts a little.
Yeah, just as like a small, undersized, speedy guy. Bonito also is not a very like high profile name, but I imagine he's going to be on this list somewhere. He should. If Zach Allen's here,
the sack leaders and rank accordingly.
Right. If Zach Allen's here, he should be too. But yeah, I'm expecting Sauce. I think Quincy still makes it. Sauce, Quincy, and Garrett Wilson, I think, will be the three names that we still see on this list somewhere.
Before we move on to our next topic, can I talk about how, just really quick as an aside, how crazy it is, because you brought up Tippmann, that him and the Josh Myers thing, that's a real 50-50 thing?
I've been thinking this for a while. And
it's one thing to have to say, like, all right, we want Myers to push him a little bit, but they're treating it like it's 50-50. I'm like, really?
We'll see. The real test is going to be when training camp starts. And if they're actually giving, like, Josh Myers 50-50 first-team reps, I'm not gonna like lose my mind, but I'll be like, this is crazy. Like the argument
to rebuild the COVID year Ohio State offense.
The argument you'll hear is like, oh, competition's good. Like nobody should, have their spot earned. It's like, okay, sure. If that was the case, fine. Why is it only Joe Tippmann? Why is literally no other starter on the team? Like why is no other established starter getting pushed for a starting job? Like it just doesn't, like Tippmann was arguably their best offensive lineman last year. I thought he was a very, very good player. I think he's a top 10 center in football. Josh Myers has 3.5, 4 years of backup to bad starting caliber tape. I really don't understand that at all.
Which is funny too, because like if you look at the offensive line, like I guess the worst of the five is probably Fashanu, but it's like, oh, he's a first round pick. He can't,
It's Fashanu or Membu just based on what they've done already. But obviously the ceiling for those guys is extremely high.
So let's move on from talking about some good players to some bad players, guys that are on the roster right now that there's a pretty good chance they're not going to be on the roster. Maybe some surprises, because I feel like every year there's always one where you're like, man, they got rid of that guy. That guy's on the practice squad. And I was actually writing an article for the Jet Press. It was about a Rich Cimini thing where they were talking about Malachi Corley specifically, and that's one of my guys.
Of course.
Which is funny, because I don't know if you read the Cimini article, guys, but he basically said, remember how Malachi Corley, no matter what, and they trade up to get him and everybody's pumped? Supposedly the coaching staff was not sold on him because he's not a good route runner. And they didn't want wow, fish only live in water. Oh my God, I'm so surprised by this. Like, I don't know if that's Sala Douglas incompetency or just they knew he was a bad route runner, but they didn't think he was this bad or what it was. But it sounds like they immediately soured on him. The second, like Hackenberg level, where they're like, let's watch him play. And then they watch him for a week. Oh, crap. That's what I think happened. And if you look at this roster right now, they're probably going to carry 6 wide receivers, I bet, on their 53-man. Honestly, 5 of the spots are pretty locked up because Josh Reynolds, Garrett Wilson,
Josh
and Alan Lazard. Those are the 3 starters. Unless they trade Lazard, which I think is less likely now, because I thought that once the Steelers got Rodgers, they tried to make that move. They didn't end up doing that. They got Jonnu Smith. So I think he sticks around. So those are 3. Tyler Johnson, 4. I don't think they get rid of him, barring just a calamitous preseason where he can't do anything right, which I don't think that'll happen. Arian Smith, that's 5. And then it's 1 other spot, and there's Irv Charles, there's Xavier Gibson, there's a couple guys. I really think this organization, the new guys, Glenn, Engstrand, part of me thought, you know what, that they would go and say, you know what, he can't be this bad. There's no way he can be this bad. We just need our Detroit Lions adjacent offense to work with him. I think they're just going to say, you know what, that's a Douglas guy. I'm done with him. I think he's really run out of road. And again, he didn't help himself because there were reports, too, that he didn't have the best work ethic. He wasn't really meshing with what the coaches were telling him to do, which bad coaching staff as it may be, you still got to be coachable. The indelible image of Malachi Corley in New York, who was a 65th pick. He was almost a 2nd-round pick. Functionally, he's a 2nd-round pick. And he might be done after a year, and the image might be dropping that ball at the 1-yard line, which I always hated his response, which is like, I've scored 1 million touchdowns. I'll score more. Nah, man, that's not what you do. So the confluence of bad circumstances, I think, is looking worse and worse for Corley by the day.
Yeah, the optics of that response, I think, given how his Jets career had gone to that point, were not particularly great.
As Connor Long says, the free growing
up. I did. So listen, this is the longest I've had my hair in years. It's a mess right now because I'm wearing a hat. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just haven't cut it. Maybe growing it out for the summer. We'll see what's going on with that.
And then Garrett Goodlander, just to get back on the Corley, Douglas's staff cannot evaluate wide receivers. Horrible picks outside of Garrett. Well, that's the Jets before Douglas, and it might be the Jets after Douglas because they took Arian Smith about a round or 2 before they probably should have. So
I was gonna say this, by the way, Mike. Did you know I used to have an afro? Were you aware of that?
I'm picturing it now, and I'm not.
When I was,
I like your hair better, I think is the best way I could describe it.
I went through an afro era, a Jufro era, if you will, from like to what, like 8th grade or something like that to like 10th grade, 7th to like 10th grade, something like that.
I mean, I used to have that Justin Bieber hair swept on the side with the flip up the back.
Oh, we should create like some sort of incentive tier where if I don't know, somehow we reveal those photos eventually.
Oh no, I have them on my phone. They're bad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they're awful. That's what.
Oh yeah.
That's my point here. But yeah, Malachi Corley feels like one of those situations where the Jets brought him into camp and immediately realized, oh, we messed up. Like kind of like a Christian Hackenberg situation where you get him in the building, you compare him to the players you have on the roster, and you see him in person, and you realize, oh, this guy can't play, or at least he can't play to the extent that we thought he could.
Which is weird because Hackenberg was at least a crazy mega outlier reach. I mean, Malachi Corley, they picked him 65. That's kind of where a lot of analysts had him pegged. In fact, a lot of them lower. A lot of them had him in the 40s, 50s.
It is especially damning. I mean, for multiple reasons. One, the no matter what situation, the Vontae, that whole situation.
They were so publicly in on him.
So publicly, and they leaked to the media afterwards that they had him ranked as their 4th wide receiver, which means he was ahead of Brian Thomas, ahead of Ladd McConkey. Like that they publicly leaked that information for a reason. So to have all of that go on and then to bring him into camp and immediately realize, oh, this guy is actually a really bad route runner. Ooh, how did we not pick up on that when watching his film? That's damning to me. Like, that is crazy. And if you want to point to literally one reason why that entire front office should have been swept out after last year, that's the reason why. I mean, there's more you can point to as well, but that right there, my God, and the coaching staff as well, whoever was involved in that evaluation process, that's crazy to me. And yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I think there's a decent chance. In fact, I would say a good chance that he is not on the 53-man roster. I think there's a better chance that he's not than he is. He also missed time this spring. I don't even know if he's going to be ready for training camp. That has not been made clear. He was dealing with an undisclosed injury in OTAs, and he didn't practice at all in minicamp. Nobody knows what that injury is. You assume he'll be ready for training camp, but we don't know. And any snap he's not getting in front of this new regime and in front of this new coaching staff to prove his worth and prove he deserves a roster spot, that is very, very damaging. I think Tyler Johnson probably makes it as that fourth, fifth guy. Arian Smith's obviously locked into a spot. I think Tyler Johnson makes it. He's not guaranteed. He only has like $200K guaranteed on his contract, so they could cut him. But he's probably more likely to make it than
he'll need to make so many mistakes to.
Yeah, I agree. And then that last spot is special teams, whether that's going to be Irv Charles, whether that's Jamal Pritchett, whether that's Xavier Gibson. One or two spots, those 6 or 7 spots, those are going to be all down to who can contribute on special teams. I'm hoping that Arian Smith is also able to contribute on special teams and not be a Malachi Corley and be a healthy scratch every game, because I'm not sure how much he's going to play on offense early in his career. I would like for him to be able to contribute on special teams. I think that's something to keep an eye on. Looking at other
real quick though, if Corley, sure. one last thing to have him avoid becoming an Ardarius Stewart where he just never plays ever again, and no team even really took a shot on him, which I thought was interesting. That happens a lot with the Jets. Not only do guys not work out with them, but they don't even like bounce around the league on practice squads. They just disappear. Yeah. Calvin Pryor. But one of two things I think is going to happen. He's going to go to a team like Washington, I think, where up-tempo offense, get the ball in your hands quick. I think he needs to go to a situation like that if he's going to have any shot. Or I think he maybe just goes full Cordero Patterson and converts to running back. I think one of those two things happens.
It's weird. It's weird to me that because the thing with Cordero is they knew he could play running back because he was an all-pro return man. Corley can't even do that. Corley can't even get a return job. He can't contribute on special teams. And if you're not able to contribute on special teams,
really quick though, hold on just a minute. Number one Austrian Jets fan is gifted 50 Jet Press membership. Austrian Jet fan from one Austrian to another.
Are you Austrian?
I am 25% Austrian. My grandmother is 100%. I salute you.
I don't know how that's going to work because there are not 50 people in chat right now. So I think it's just
I believe they're giving it out to subscribers, including our boss, who was one of them. So
really, I didn't even see that.
Yes. So
oh yeah, I see that now.
So thank you so much, Austrian Jet fan. We have a lot of great fans, but I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of good fans in this chat. Going to be hard to top that level of dedication. So Austrian Jet fan,
crazy bro.
You are a true Jets fan, and we salute you. Immer wieder Österreich, yes.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. I've been to Austria once, so I will.
So have I. I've been to Salzburg.
I've been to Innsbruck.
In fact, in my apartment, I have a giant Stein that was made in Salzburg. And
wait, hold up, yo, Austrian Jets fan. Wait, look at that. Look at that. You see that? If you're watching on YouTube, look at that. That is an Austrian flag right there. That is
yes, it is.
Because that is. I've been to Austria. Look at it. We got a little representation here. Garrett says
Carmen San Diego.
Garrett says I'll take one. I think you have to be on YouTube for that. So
yeah, you have to be a YouTube subscriber for that, Garrett. So head over to the Jet Press on YouTube and subscribe.
Yeah, dude. Shout out Austria. Real quick.
Shout out Austria, man.
Just to again, I want to appease Austrian Jets fan for being so nice to us. Yeah. Innsbruck might be the most beautiful city that I've ever been. Not even just because of the city, but like the backdrop and everything. Like you could
Salzburg
see
too with that
the mountains,
fortress on that hill right up there. I mean, it is.
I gotta go to Vienna.
We gotta go to Vienna to show our support, man.
That's crazy. Wow.
I gotta say, America is still number one in the Jet Press power rankings in terms of countries. I think Austria firmly is number 2.
Austria might have gifted more subs now than America.
I think Austria may have. Connor Long's done a few, so
that's true. We got to have like a World Cup, like a Jet.
Thank you so much, Austrian Jets fan. But Justin.
Yeah. Well, after
Malachi
that,
Corley to continue the podcast.
Yeah, much appreciated, buddy. Thank you so much. I was going to move on to another surprise cut candidate because we talked a lot about Michael Corley.
Let's go.
It was a name that somebody mentioned earlier. Honestly, when I was trying to come up with some of these names, I think it's pretty difficult because looking at the roster, there's just so many guys competing for spots that I don't think there's many like genuine surprises, right? But one name that somebody mentioned in chat that I know a lot of Jets fans would be happy if he's cut, and it would be a surprise. Garrett Goodlander said, hopefully Michael Clemens. Let's talk about Michael Clemens. I think right now Michael Clemens is the locked-in number one top backup defensive end on the Jets roster, and
Which
Jermaine
is
Johnson.
not a compliment.
No, it is not, because that Jets defensive end room, the depth behind Will McDonald and a still recovering from a torn Achilles Jermaine Johnson is very bad. It is brutal. So I think right now Michael Clemens is the top guy, but there's also no guarantee that he sticks around. I believe he has no more money guaranteed in his contract because he's in the last year of his rookie deal. So the Jets could cut him, or he has very few. You know, I don't. He has. They would take on less than $200K in dead cap if they cut him. So basically nothing. You have fifth round rookie Tyler Barron in that room. You have Rashad Weaver, who they picked up from the Titans. He's been making some plays in the spring. I mean, take that for what you will. It's, you know, it's spring practices. It's hard to evaluate trench play. And then a few UDFA guys from last year, Eric Watts, Braden McGregor. There's a lot of names in that room. There are extremely few proven things. And it's unlikely that Clemens gets cut, especially because Jermaine Johnson is working his way back from that torn Achilles. Even if he's expected to be ready for week one, you have to plan for him maybe not to be getting 100% of snaps, or at least the same snap count that he would be getting if he was fully healthy, at least early in the year. But that being said, Clemens isn't very good. He was one of the lowest graded edge rushers in football last year. He's a bad pass rusher and doesn't really offer anything as a run defender either. There's a world where he gets outplayed by guys like Tyler Barron and Rashad Weaver and Eric Watts and whoever. And if he does, he's not guaranteed anything. He's not making the roster if he gets outplayed by those guys. Right now, he's just the incumbent. He's the de facto top backup defensive end. But I definitely don't think he's a roster lock by any means.
Looking at Clemens, he's a byproduct of, you're not going to overturn this whole roster in one offseason. You can't fix all the holes in one offseason. So they decided what we're going to do is focus on offensive line tight end, which is why Membu and Mason Taylor, and to a degree, Azaria Thomas got picked as high as they did. And they said, next year, we're going to go work on the defensive line. We're going to go through string and duct tape and just spit and sawdust. We're going to put together a kind of a patchwork defensive line, hold it together for a year. Odds are one of these guys will show us something, one of these veterans that they bring on. And then next year, we'll start a more earnest rebuild of the defensive line. As Garrett Goodlander says, I'd rather give Eric Watts the roster spot. He's a good run defender. On that defensive line, Leonard Taylor's the one I really want to see be guaranteed a roster spot, because I think he's better than Michael Clemens right now, just as a defensive lineman. I know they have different roles, but I think Leonard Taylor's certainly more productive right now. He came into the draft cycle with a ton of hype, and I think he showed that he shouldn't have gone undrafted. That was a big mistake. Yeah. Clemens is big guy, strong guy, a guy I would not want to – I don't like saying bad things about, because – I'm going to be honest. I don't want to get on that guy's bad side, but he just never developed the athleticism. Classic tweener, dictionary definition. Never got the speed that they needed to put him at the edge full time. And then Robert Saleh actually tried to beef him up a little bit, but he lost even more of what little speed he had when he tried to do that. And as strong as he is, he's not like freakish John Randall strong for his size, where he just can just pull people out of the way. He's not that kind of guy. So I give the Jets, they tried everything to make him work. And I guarantee you, if they cut him loose, I bet you San Francisco brings him in next year. Because Robert Saleh is going to go, you know what? I think I can finally fix him. He did that with Kinlaw. Might do it with Michael Clemens. But yeah, I think he'll be around. I think he would really need to mess up to get cut.
Either San Francisco, Atlanta, Dallas, one of the places where there's a former Jets defensive coach there. I could see that happening. By the way, Austrian Jets fan just officially became a member himself. So congrats to Austrian Jets fan. Thank you so much. Once again, he gifted 50 before, or they gifted 50 before they even
You are the number one Austrian Jet fan, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
That is for damn. I've never seen a better one.
Cut. I was looking at this roster right now. Maybe this is a bit of a surprise for some people. because a lot of people when they sign Jay Tufele, I don't think he's gonna. I think he's just like a can't compete kind of guy. Byron Coward, I don't know about because I believe the starters. Maybe this is just me being optimistic on Derek Nottie. I think Derek Nottie is pretty locked in as the second defensive tackle starter.
Maybe I wouldn't say that, but
he's
he
the
makes
favorite,
the most sense
certainly
by far as that guy. There was a quote because Coward had a few
and
good
his defensive line coach, just the defensive line coach Eric Washington was the defensive coordinator in Chicago's, which he was before, so they have a pass connection.
So he's followed him, and there was some talk about, hey, maybe Coward's the early favorite. I don't see that because Coward is a 3 tech to me, and I don't think he's like Nottie just makes sense because he's a 1 tech who's a perfect fit.
Stylistically, he is. I mean, let's not go talk to our buddy Matt Connor at Arrowhead at it. I don't think he has the most
well.
The best reviews.
Being a 1 tech doesn't mean you're a good 1 tech. It doesn't mean you're a good 1 tech, but
Jason
you are
Broussard, the Jets should trade a late pick for Anthony Jennings. He might be the odd man out in New England. Good player.
Whoa.
He's been away. Is he still with the Patriots?
I wouldn't hate it.
Jennings? I thought he was a.
He is still. No, he's still with them. He signed
he did.
a couple years ago. He'd be an interesting player. He's played mostly.
I didn't know he was starting. I thought he was more of a rotational guy.
He's been.
He does. He started 16 games last year for them.
Really?
But is it like 3 years?
Well, they have a lot of names in that
exactly.
Well, they signed Caleb on Chase, and I'm not sure how much he's going to contribute in the year 2025. But he's there. They drafted Braden Swinson. I'm surprised Swinson fell to the 5th round. They got him there, and they also brought in Harold Landry, of course. I wouldn't hate it. He's never really played DN Jennings, right? Did he play DN at Alabama?
He's more, he was more like a stand-up guy, I think, out there.
Yeah,
and I don't know where you
play
with McDonald anyway. He's not that big.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it. I mean, they're also, that's the other part about the Clemens discussion is I would not be shocked if the Jets brought in other names into this D-line room, and also for the Coward discussion. Like they absolutely could bring in other defensive linemen to the room, look at the waiver wire, look at whatever. Like, I don't think the Jets defensive line is going to be consisting of players that are currently on their roster right now come week 1. What did Brian said in chat, compared to Jets current D-line to the Lions 2021 D-line, people regards so Lions had a 3-4 setup for players in place, then got adapted to a 4-3 the following
season. This is a transitional year where they're trying to find guys who can fit Aaron.
Right. Maybe Jennings could be, maybe if they end up switching to a 3-4 scheme, Jennings could fit that more. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets take a bunch of flyers, like go after
I think Coward's one of those guys.
Coward's one of them. When looking at that D tackle room, because I didn't have Coward on my list, mostly because I don't even think it'd be a surprise. Like it's hard. Again, I think so many of these guys.
I think he's above Tufele, above Fedarian Mathis, maybe even with Leonard Taylor right now.
They're all just dudes. Like I hate to say it, they're Jags. Like they're guys.
You could
they're
swap
just guys
them in and out.
I like Leonard Taylor.
You wouldn't tell the difference.
Realistically,
Taylor, I think has potential, but
Byron
right now
Cowell,
he's just a guy.
Yeah, LT3, Leonard Taylor, I think, has the highest upside of any of the guys. Derek Nottie, I think, makes the most sense as like a scheme fit to start next to Quinnen, and he also has the most starting experience. Coward's a dude. Jay Tufele's a dude. Fedarian Mathis is a dude. I guess he has upside. He was a top.
I think he was a Malachi Corley. Washington took him, and they're like, can't play.
Yeah. Well, at least in his defense, he had injuries. He had injuries that derailed him a bit in Washington, and then he played and he was awful. But I don't know. There's a bunch of guys in that room. I put Nottie on my list. I was going to mention him because I think that would be the biggest surprise if he was cut. None of them have enough guaranteed money where it makes no sense if the Jets cut him. I think Nottie only has like $400K guaranteed. Like they absolutely could cut him too. They could cut Cowart. They could cut Tufele. It is just going to be a full-on free-for-all competition for those depth defensive tackles. And I can't even say depth defensive tackle spots because one of them is going to start next to Quinnen Williams. Like either Derek Nottie or Byron Coward or Jay Tufele or Peyton Page, the undrafted guy they brought in from Clemson. Someone is going to have to start.
How many D linemen do you think they keep? I don't think they're keeping 10 like Saleh did.
No, probably 9, 8 or 9. I think 9 is probably the sweet spot. But it's really like for the first time in a while, this is like one of the weakest parts of their roster. Like their D-line depth is very bad. So I wouldn't hate if they carried 8. Like I in terms of like guys who deserve a roster spot, I'm not sure there's going to be 9 defensive linemen that deserve a spot on the 53-man roster.
Which is not really quick before moving on. Austrian Jet fan, when do you think 1 and 5 get paid before the season?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully, man, in a couple weeks.
It should have happened already.
Like, at least Sauce Gardner. There's no reason Sauce Gardner should not have a new contract before training camp starts, and we got a couple of weeks until then, a little over 2 weeks. Garrett, I'm a little less confident gets done before week 1, but I'm very hopeful. And realistically, like, they both should get done this summer and probably around the same time. We've talked about it a lot. Sauce probably gets roughly what Stingley got. Maybe they had an extra year. Maybe he ups it by, $1 million a year AAV. Like, it'll be somewhere around $30 million a year. Garrett probably around $25 million a year is what you're looking at. Both are foundational players. Both are arguably the 2 best players in the entire roster. They are cornerstone pieces who should be kept around in New York for the foreseeable future. As Brian said, hopefully next weekend. Yeah, the sooner the better. Literally, if it happens right after we finish recording this podcast, I'll be a little annoyed because we just answered that question now. But I'll be very happy
for years,
for the
man.
Jets.
News always breaks right after we get done.
Mike,
I think it is time. Let's go and put our game show hats on.
Okay.
I'm Gene Rayburn. Welcome to the match game. Ask your grandparents; they know who I'm talking about.
Do you want to try? We're going to do this on the
first. I need to go and actually set up.
Let me
set up something.
Set this up
so
while I explain what's going on.
Visuals for
Pay no attention to the screen. Pay no attention to the screen while I explain what's about to happen. This is something called the Jet Press Roulette. We are going to play a bunch of mini games, essentially, or at least we created this wheel where there's a bunch of different mini games, stuff that we've done in the past, stuff that you may have seen us done on shorts content that we used to produce, stuff that way back for longtime subscribers. I don't know what Mike's doing.
I apologize, folks. This is live entertainment.
Yeah, stuff that we used to do, stuff like Guess the Jet, stuff like Guess the Jet by their Pro Football Reference page, stuff like drafts, stuff like anything. That is going to be what we're about to do in a moment. Before we get to it really quick, a couple people had a little bit, like Brian said, I don't think Garrett is accepting $25 million from the Jets, and then Austrian Jet fan also said it could be higher. It might be. I mean, look, what is that? That's around like what Amon-Ra got, right? What's the current?
I think 30 is the number. I think that's probably where they're going to end up.
Oh, 30. I'm sorry. Was I saying I said 25?
25 is low. 30 is
25 is too low. I meant 30. I was thinking of what Amon-Ra got. I meant 30. I've said this on the show before. People know I meant 30. I've said 30 on the show. I meant what Amon-Ra got, which was around 30 million. It's also what who's the other guy that got 30? Ayuk got 30. Higgins is making a little bit less than 30 right now. It's probably going to be around 30 million is my guess.
Let's go on to
Tyreek is also making 30. So
spin the wheel.
Anyway, let's do this, Mike. Are you ready for the first ever spin of the Jet Press Roulette Wheel? We will explain any games that are, a little confusing. We have visuals for most of these too. I'm very excited. Mike, spin that wheel, baby. Whoa. Is that what copyright?
I'm humming it. What are they going to I hummed it for 2 seconds.
I don't know. Is that fair use? All right, spin that wheel, baby. Let's go.
Oh, no, you don't watch if you get motion sick.
I'm excited. No, I'm excited. What do we got? Ooh, okay. We got a classic blind ranking.
Oh, and we get a nice little sound effect.
Actually, we get a little sound effect. So let's do a blind ranking, Mike. Here we go. Okay, so the first blind ranking that I have put together for you is a blind ranking of 5 Jets cornerbacks. These are Jets corners from any era, any time. It does not mean they're currently on the roster. Are you ready? Do you think you're going to nail this?
Gene, let's hear the questions. This Jets cornerback was a blank.
Your first Jets cornerback to rank. And again, for those who don't know how blind ranking works, Mike has no idea the Jets cornerbacks on this list. He does not know who's coming next. So this first name, he has to rank them. He has no idea.
This is the newlywed game, but for Jets.
Your first cornerback. That is Antonio Cromartie. Mike, where do you want to put Antonio Cromartie? Yeah, 1 through 5, Antonio Cromartie. And you guys can play along in chat as well.
See, the thing with Cromartie is he didn't play very long with the Jets. God damn, was he good. He was good. A guy who was a number 1 cornerback on most other teams. He just happened to have... Is that a top 10 in history, him and Revis, cornerback tandem?
It's up there. He was like the Marcus Peters of his era, kind of. Like I think
not
Cromartie,
counting when he came back
was
the
a
second
gambler.
time and was terrible, like those first 4 years.
No. But like Pete Cromartie was a gambler. You know, he was a turnover. He was a playmaker,
Which was
a turnover
great because
creator,
Revis,
and
nobody
he
ever
would get
threw
that
at him.
sometimes. Correct. So we got a couple of 4s and
I'm
3s
gonna put
in
him
chats.
2.
Where are you thinking?
I'm gonna put him high.
Okay.
He hated to tackle. Garrett Goodlander says yes, he did, but I mean,
Sure.
the
Sure.
prime was short. It was so good. The top inseminator in Jets history, Antonio Cromartie.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, if we were ranking this on terms of how many kids they have,
him and the only one
he's number one. He's got to be number one in Jets
in NFL lore.
And he's not and he was never a Jet.
So. I believe I remember too. He got a vasectomy and then had 2 more.
Wait, Robert Saleh would low-key be
I think Philip Rivers has 11 kids, which is just, and they're all in similar age. I'm like, oh, Tiffany Rivers is a gangster, man. Wow. Take care of 11 kids.
Brian has a prediction. Brian says, I just know that Buster Screen is hiding at the end of that box. We'll see, man. We don't know. Possibly.
All right, who else I got?
It'd be crazy if you predicted that then. I honestly kind of forget who's on this list. I'm not going to lie. All right, so Cromartie is number 2. I think that's a pretty safe spot to put him. You know, it's not like he's a very good corner. Next, we got the official headshot of current Jets head coach, Aaron Glenn.
I probably would have put Glenn over Cromartie, but I don't know if I want to put him 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him 3. If you look at his career,
okay,
him and Cromartie, I think, are very similar in terms of how good they were. Because Cromartie had like 11 picks one year in San Diego. I'm going to put them 2 and 3, but it's really 2 and 2A. I think they're very similar.
Yeah. I already don't feel good about this because I think Glenn should be ahead of Cromartie.
You're going to screw me over with this.
You did put Cromartie 2, and you obviously there's
Antonio
2
Cromartie
guys
had to do it while paying so much in child support, so that probably is. That probably goes up.
Sure. That bumps him up. He was dealing with a disadvantage. Yeah, fair enough. There are 2 guys on like that I could think of at least. Again, I forgot who's on this list, but there's 2 guys who is a guarantee. Obviously, want to put them at number 1. So hopefully they don't both show up, because if that happens, you're in trouble. All right. So we have Antonio Cromartie number 2, Aaron Glenn number 3.
Oh, for crying out loud!
Sauce Gardner.
Well, I'm gonna go put him
Sauce
4
Gardner.
again. He just hasn't played. Well, he hasn't played long enough. I don't think.
Whoa. But if we're talking,
well, yeah. But if I put him 1,
okay, I don't want to influence. If you want to put him 4, put him 4.
Yeah. I mean,
we could totally put him 4.
He'll be up there
saving
soon,
1
but I don't want to put a guy with 3 years over a guy who's had,
Okay. I think every ranking here has been wrong.
Well, you do it then. All right.
I look. This
is the nature
of blind rankings. Sometimes one ranking in the beginning
something quick to help me out. It's better be Marcus Williams and Revis.
Your 4th name is former Jets cornerback Morris Claiborne.
Oh, way 5 with a bullet. Yeah.
Okay, Morris Claiborne. All right.
Didn't he get like a 4 on the Wonderlic or something, or a 6 or
something bad? Claiborne was low key all right with the Jets. I don't think he was bad. I think he was a solid
1's going to be terrible. No.
But of the names on this list,
yeah,
I mean, so far, absolutely Morris Claiborne.
I bet.
You don't know. Well, there's one name that could save
not Revis, I bet.
If it's Darrelle Revis,
show me how wrong I am.
If it's Darrelle Revis, then this list. Hold on. If it's Darrelle Revis, then you can make an argument. I think the list is still wrong. I think people in chat are agreeing that this list is probably a bit wrong. But
I guess I was banking on Revis, but it's not going to be.
Well, let's see. Who is the last player on our list? It is Buster Screen.
Sure. Isn't he in jail right now or something?
Buster Screen, number 1 corner.
Isn't he in jail? Didn't he have some sort of legal hullabaloo?
Yeah, I think he went to prison.
Wow, guess what his real name is?
That's crazy. Hold on. Shout out Brian for calling that earlier.
Oh my God, he's got 15 charges.
For whatever reason, I couldn't find a headshot of Buster Screen on the Jets. I mean, I could have used this mugshot.
Bank fraud. Oh my God, this is passing bad checks.
Buster Screen, the number one corner. So just to recap, here's how Mike has ranked these 5 Jets. Buster Screen, number 1. Antonio Cromartie, number 2. Aaron Glenn, number 3. Sauce Gardner, number 4. Morris Claiborne, number 5.
Well,
Mike,
I mean, I deserve it. I deserve it for. I was banking on Revis, but then I thought you wouldn't put all those good guys in there without Yeah, so immediately when I did that, I'm like, yeah, I probably should have put Sauce at higher. But 3 years versus 7. How many Cromartie have? 5 or 6? I mean,
it's tough.
Cromartie was
the one.
But also, I mean, he was good. I don't want people to forget.
If you put Cromartie 3, which I think you were between 2 and 3, then you would have
put Glenn at 2. But then the Sauce thing anyway, yeah.
And I think my rule of thumb is I'm just like, if I was doing this, I think I would have.
Eric Goodlander said Shrine. He meant Screen was a decent slot.
Screen was a decent. Decent. Yeah, I don't know about decent.
Last year he was just unplayable.
He was pretty. He was pretty bad. You want to talk about a holding merchant, a penalty machine? That was
he held and he couldn't cover.
And he couldn't. But he could hit, man. And he had, you know what Buster Screen had that let's say, Morris Claiborne didn't have, Mike. Buster Screen had aura.
What?
Right?
Hold on. Wait, I'm not letting that slide. What do you mean he had aura?
What do you mean? The dreads? Like, any corner with dreads, first of all, isn't A-list. Like,
no, you got to be good to have aura.
You have the aura. I don't know about that. I think Buster Screen, like, he looked like a cornerback. He looked like somebody, like, and he also hit really hard. Like, that dude could hit. If he could play cornerback.
Other than that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play? Good hell.
All right. A perfect tier list, as always, or not tier list, a perfect blind ranking from Mike or from Mike Luciano. Jesus Christ.
Zach Wilson sucks. CAM Mike LaFleur.
Okay. I'm very happy that was the first.
And what, I humiliated myself? That makes you happy?
Yeah. Shout out Brian for freaking calling that earlier.
What are tomorrow's lottery numbers?
This was at 348. He said, "I just know that Buster Screen is hiding at the end of this box," and he was absolutely correct. That was a hell of a call. All right, well,
back to the wheel.
Don't remove it, because I do have other blind rankings.
Well, I mean,
we can get another blind ranking.
Remove from the thing. Oh yeah.
No, it would just remove blind ranking. So we've done blind ranking. We can do another one.
Sickness simulator. Away.
Let's go, baby. I don't know which one I want. There's one segment that would be really fun.
Oh, we almost got it again.
Okay.
Guess the Jet.
It's a classic Guess the Jet. I did want the one segment down there that says Fix the Jets. That should say Break the World. It just cuts off. That's a really fun segment that we're going to get to do one day. I don't know when we're going to get to do it, but I have that set up. But we're going to do a classic here, a Guess the Jet, which this is honestly the most stressful because, we have to I might actually there's the visual for this is just a countdown. Either of us can participate in this. I don't know if you have names already prepared, Mike.
We each do one. Sound fair?
Do you want me to? We can each do one. I think is probably fair. Do you want to get? You can give me the name
first.
Let me
go and actually get him.
I will
geared up really quick here.
Yeah. Let me get this timer all set up. How's that look over here? Does that look good? If I that's good. You guys understand. It's literally just straight up just a YouTube link. Nothing fancy. Look, I made this in Google Slides. All right, give me a break. I'm excited, dude. It's been so long since we've done a Guess the Jet, and I fear that I'm going to horrifically embarrass myself here.
I'll give you a relatively easy one. All right.
Okay. For those who don't remember how this works, Guess the Jet. We're going to have 60 seconds to guess a Jets player asking yes or no questions. Basically 20 question style, but rapid fire. And yeah, Mike is going to have a player. We're all going to be able to play in chat because none of us are going to know who it is except for Mike. And that's how it's going to go. I just got to ask questions and figure out who it is in 60 seconds.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay. We will start it in 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. So offensive player. Okay. Skill position player.
No.
All right. Wide receiver?
No.
Running back?
Yes.
Tight end? Okay. Played after
No.
2010 with the Jets. Played after
Yes.
2000 with the Jets.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness,
Chris
you
Baker.
are on fire.
Oh,
Didn't even get 30 seconds in yet,
he's
Chris
on
Baker.
fire. Oh, don't do it to
Surprisingly,
him. Nasty.
not as good as
With
I thought he
29
was with the
seconds to
Jets.
spare.
Only 1 year of
No,
over
he wasn't that
400
good.
yards
He
receiving.
existed. He was around. Look at that, dude. We've done these guesses.
That's one of
I'm
your
so glad that I
earliest
just
correct
nailed that, by the
guesses.
way. That was not my best guess. My best guess is still
It might have been,
Clyde
no,
Gates?
Salam
Was that the one that
Hakeem, I
got,
think
or
maybe. Salim
did I
Hakeem,
get Salim Hakeem? Yeah.
alliterative name.
All right. Hell yeah, dude.
All
That
right,
was
how do I
great.
follow
Nailed
that?
that. I know. Now I won't be too mean. I can't give you like a really hard one after that. I have a whole list here. Let's see. Which one do I want to do?
Maximum
Okay,
pain.
I got one. I got one. This is not particularly like.
Are you
it's not,
saying that
it's
to
same level of
qualify? Like if
difficulty,
I
maybe
get it
even-
wrong, then it looks worse.
Yeah, if you get this wrong, then you look terrible. It's not like Terrell Reeves.
All right, here we go.
It's not like Wesley Walker or something. No. Okay, are you ready, Mike?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Offensive player.
No.
All right, so defensive.
Yes.
All right, cornerback.
You said corner?
Corner.
Yes. Cornerback, yes. Cornerback, yes.
All right, played after 2010.
Yes.
But before 2020.
Yes.
Not after 2020.
No.
Okay, did he play under Todd Bowles?
No.
Okay, so he played under Rex.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did play
All
under
right,
Todd Bowles.
was his jersey number in the 20s?
Oh God. Yes, it was.
Oof. Was it Darryl Roberts?
No, that's not a bad guess. You got 5 seconds.
Marcus Williams is my answer.
No.
Oh,
Final guess. Give me one final guess.
Those are my 2 guesses.
No more guesses. Any guesses in chat? You went slow with the questions. You weren't able to rapid fire.
Well, honestly, I think your thing was chopping out.
Oh shoot!
I asked one question. It took like 4 seconds to get a response.
Oh dang! Well, I'm sorry. Oh, unfortunately, still wrong. Nope. This is Trumaine Johnson.
Trumaine Johnson.
Jets bust. Famous Jets bust. He played
He
1
played
year
under
Bowles.
Rex.
No, under Bowles.
Under Bowles, yeah,
He
he
said
did.
yes. 1 year under Bowles and then 1 year under Gase.
I like how he never played again after the Jets.
Yep, that was it, man. He was terrible.
5-year contract. Halfway into year 2, he's done.
Yeah, he was terrible.
My bad. Sorry, he was with the Panthers practice squad for a bit and got cut from that.
Before, like, where does he rank in terms of worst free agent signings in Jets history? Is he the worst?
He might. Well, again, we discussed this in the press show with Neil O'Donnell, like in the impact of getting a quarterback wrong.
Yeah.
But in terms of, and it's always going to look worse in recent history because the money's always going to be greater. But
yeah,
I mean, he's certainly in the top 3.
He's there with Le'Veon Bell, for sure as well. Like
Le'Veon Bell, yeah. I mean, Le'Veon he tried, but you couldn't overcome. Adam Gase didn't even want him, and they signed him.
No, and they were both on the team at the same time. Bell and Trumaine Johnson shared a team together.
And I think Adam Gase made him loopy. You seen what's up with Le'Veon Bell lately? He's talking about weird stuff.
Wait. When was Le'Veon's first year with the Jets? Was it 2019? Yeah, it was 2019, right?
It was the first year.
Yeah, it was 2019. It was 2019. And he got cut in 2020. All right. Well, I think we have time maybe for one more.
They really scrambled his egg with the Jets, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, man. It was brutal. All right. I think we have time for one more spin of the roulette wheel. Don't you agree?
Do we?
I'm having fun. As long as it's not like let's do a quick one. We'll do a quick one.
We'll do a quick one. All right.
We'll do a quick one. Let's do a quick spin. I'm having a blast. I don't know if chat loves this, but I love this kind of stuff. I think this is great. All right. Last spin of the Jet Press roulette. If it's like draft, we don't do it because that's too long.
Keep 4, cut 4.
We can do a keep 4, cut 4. We can do this pretty quick. We can do a keep 4, cut 4. Okay. So how keep 4?
I like the woo in the animation after you win.
Here. This is very similar to blind rankings, actually, where we are going to get 8 Jets players, but you don't know who is next on the list, and you don't know who's on the list. But you get to keep 4, and you get to cut 4. So, Mike, keep 4, cut 4.
Let's
start. Let me see if I just got to have the list here. Okay. Okay.
PG version of the game you're all thinking of.
Well, it's not 3 options, it's 2 options.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it's similar, I
Yeah.
guess. All right, keep 4, cut 4. Your first player, Mike, Chad Pennington.
Is there going to be another quarterback on this list?
There might
Keep him.
keep
Because
him.
he was
I think
good, and his problems were he kept getting hurt, and he can't plan for that.
I think that's totally fair. Chad Pennington is revered by Jets fans, and I think people.
I mean, they should have taken him over Tom Brady, but
people would have been upset if you cut him. I think people would have been very upset.
Yeah.
All right. The next player on your list, I believe that is Mike Nugent. That is Mike Nugent.
A second-round kicker. Remember that?
Second-round pick on a kicker who was not particularly good.
He lasted for a while, though.
In the league, yeah. He was at the Jets, 4 years, I think?
Was he with the Bengals, I think, for a while?
He was with the Bengals. He bounced around.
Not worth a second. Yeah, you're getting rid of this guy.
Yeah, I think that's – you to cut him?
Another great Jets second-round pick.
I think that's fair. Chad Pennington is an easy keep. I think Nugent is a pretty easy cut. Next on the list, we got a fan favorite. We got Mr. Sean Green. Famous running back.
We're cutting him.
Oh, we're cutting Sean Green.
We're cutting Sean Green.
Okay.
Slightly overrated player in my estimation.
I would agree, but also
especially because he went to the Titans right after and did nothing.
I think Jets fans are going to be mad that you cut Sean Green because he's loved by a lot of fans. But I do think
that was LT's backfield, man.
And Thomas Jones was there too.
Thomas Jones, that was Well, I think the year, I think 2010 they got rid of Jones, didn't they?
Yes, yeah. Well, then it was Sean Green and LT. Yeah. I think that's fair though. All right. Next on the list,
the Titans stint really changed my mind.
Next on the list, we got an older player, but a really good one, Altoon.
Oh, we're keeping Altoon.
Yeah, we got to keep Altoon.
We're going to keep Altoon. Underrated player. Again, probably shouldn't have taken him over Jerry Rice, but
one of the best what ifs in Jets history is what if Altoon never got hurt and they didn't have the concussion issues because he was an awesome wide receiver.
He was good, and his son played in the NFL for a bit.
He wasn't Mr. Irrelevant. Was it? Or no. Was it Tim Toon or something like that?
Nick Toon.
No, who was Tim Toon? Is that something?
That's a separate guy.
Oh, that's nuts. Oh, wasn't he white?
Yeah.
Okay, totally.
Already your theory falls apart. So.
Totally different. Listen, the adopted son of Altoon. Okay, I think that. Yeah, I think you're doing good so far. I think this is pretty good
too.
Next on the list, another member of those Rex Ryan teams. It's Sione Boa, nose tackle.
I'm going to keep him only because I remember him being my younger brother, who's not into sports, favorite player for a bit.
Okay. Wow.
Because of the name, and he was this big, strong guy. Poo-ha. Like
he was a good player.
He was good, yeah.
He was a solid nose tackle. He was originally, I think, the backup to Chris Jenkins, and then Chris Jenkins' knees exploded. So, he couldn't really.
Well, because Chris Jenkins was playing at 365 or something. I mean, yeah.
And Bua was pretty good.
His son made the NFL too with the Bengals.
So. Oh, I thought you were saying Sione Bua. I was like, really?
No, Chris Jenkins. I think he's a coach right now, I think, at Utah.
Yeah. I believe I interviewed Chris Jenkins Jr.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Good dude. Really good dude. All right. Next on the list, I think we're going to stick with a theme, Mike, because next on this list is Bart Scott. Mr. Can't Wait himself. It's tough. You want to use that last? You have one keep spot remaining. Do you want to use that last keep spot?
I'm going to cut him because I think there's going to be one better player in the final two.
So you're saying Sione Bua you're keeping, but
that's for sentimental reasons.
Okay, that's all right.
I'm betting on there's going to be one better guy than Bart, because Bart Scott was good.
Okay,
and he's a good analyst. He does good work.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a bold decision, but we'll see. We'll see if it pays off. All right.
So now I don't feel. I do
know. There are 2 names left on this list. You have one keep spot and one cut spot.
All right.
Are you putting Jeff Cumberland?
Well, cut. All right. So who am I keeping?
Wow, you don't want to even think about it? You don't want to consider
Jeff
Cumberland? You don't want to he was
starting tight end in a year where he caught 9 passes?
Yeah, he was the starting tight end that year the Jets had Kellen Davis. They had Brandon Bostic.
I remember one game they played, it was week 9. They were playing the Patriots, and Gronk had more catches than all the tight ends had in the year up until that point.
Yep. Sounds about right. A not so fun fact about Jeff Cumberland is, he tore his Achilles twice in his career. Poor guy.
Oh no, poor guy.
Once with the Jets, early in his career, before he ever even broke out, he tore it, I believe, going into his second year. and then he tore it after he signed with the Chargers. And he actually, I believe, played after that still. So good for him. Okay.
All right, who am I keeping? Don't have it be like Wes Austin.
Your last spot. Is it Buster Screen? Any
Is it
guesses?
Buster Screen
Is it Buster Screen again? What if all these blind lists, every last player?
Like that would be the running joke. Every one of them has Buster Screen on it.
No, I can't be that mean. I will tell you right now, it's not Buster Screen, and that's because, Mike, we have a current player.
Okay.
It's Elijah Vera Tucker.
Hey, okay, all right. So I probably should have kept Bart over AVT, but he's good.
I would have kept Bart over Sione Boa.
That was for sentimental. And you know what?
I think
sentimental reasons. So.
I think if you swap these two, it's a perfect list. I think Sione and Bart Scott, if you swap those guys, it's a perfect list. But this isn't bad.
Garrett wants to see Calvin Pryor. I remember Calvin Pryor. I remember him because, like, obviously all the highlights were of him hitting guys hard.
Yeah.
Because that's what he could do. And I can't remember if it was Kuiper or John Gruden or like, now he's not good at covering people. I'm like, that's bad for a safety. You just picked 18. I remember being crushed because I remember thinking, I get in this habit where I think guys who end up having long, good careers were supposed to be superstars.
Sure.
Like Andrew Wiggins kind of thing. I thought Brandon Cooks was going to be like a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Oh, no. He's good.
Good player. Very good player. But, you know. So I remember being really pissed when they passed on Brandon Cooks to take Calvin Pryor. And look what happened. Brandon Cooks is pretty good. Calvin Pryor's not. Brandon Cooks still in the league.
Wasn't he like 20 when he was drafted? He was so young.
He was young. He was fast. He was explosive. And he went to the Saints with Breeze in his prime. So that was perfect for him.
Calvin Pryor, fun fact, was, for those who remember, was traded straight up 1-for-1 for DeMario Davis, who spent 1 year this was DeMario Davis's second stint with the Jets, lasted 1 year before leaving in free agency and breaking out after that with the Saints. So
he's the one that like
he got
good with the Jets, but
he got away twice, DeMario Davis. He was the one who got away twice. Like it's crazy. But anyway, I think this
Rex loved him, says Garrett Goodland. And then Rex got fired right after that. So
yeah, I think this is a pretty good list. I think the fun about doing these lists and doing these mini games is going to be a stroll back through memory lane of Jets fandom and remembering all these names. Like who had us talking about Jeff Cumberland on this list? Like who had us talking about Calvin Pryor and all these guys today? It is really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that segment, because I want to do more of those. I think they're really fun. I'm very happy to keep putting those mini games together. And there's 6 other or 5 other games that we didn't get to play. There's some really fun stuff, including that Fix the Jets, Break the World, I think is going to be pretty fun when we eventually get to that. But anyway, that was it. That was our debut.
Thank you guys for tuning in. But again, before we get into the usual sign off, Austrian Jet fan.
Yes.
You forever have a place in our hearts. 50 memberships.
Wild.
Thank you, Austrian Jet fan.
Yes, we will have to. We got to do a Jet Press podcast live from Austria.
We got to go on site. We won't lose money flying out to Europe.
You think Fanside would cover that? You think Fanside pays us to go out?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
If we tell them the situation,
international travel. Yeah.
We got to explain to them the situation. We're going to say, hey, Austrian Jet fan, they donated 50 memberships. We have to repay them. That's the only thing we can do.
Got some Zakar Torte, some Joko Zimshin. I remember them, yeah.
What? Yeah.
Joko Zimshin. They're like little umbrella, like Zimshin's an umbrella.
Oh, what'd you call them?
Okay. But I think it share them as screen, so an umbrella.
Oh.
And they're little like chocolate. They come on umbrella hooks, so little chocolate cones that you.
I guess I got to go back. I missed that. I was only there for a couple of days. I didn't spend that long there.
You get some of that, and then Zakar Torte, which I have eaten, and it was honestly not as good as people say it is.
Ooh. All right. Well,
the problem too is they wouldn't let us eat the actual one because we weren't guests at the hotel. So
we don't got to disparage our Austrian friends now. We don't got to do that.
Hey, I just talked up unique Austrian candy. How much are they a month? Because Garrett Goodlander, 99 cents a month. 99 cents a month. It's on YouTube, and you get your comments prioritized in chat. Also, just a great way to help support the show. If you helps us make more of this. So. Chris says Austrian Jet fan's a legend, like you all here. What a guy, Chris! You're the legend. You're the man, Chris. You're the man. You're the legend, Chris. So thank you guys for tuning into the Jet Press podcast. You know where to find us on YouTube, all the podcast stuff, Apple, Google, Spotify. We are there. Justin, any final thoughts after kind of an extended hiatus of a couple weeks, thanks to technological problems? Feels good to be back. We had the little weird hiccup with Restream in the beginning. We gotta talk to the CEO of Restream or something like that. Get him on the show and be like, "Yo, what's going on with this?" John Restream. Mr. John Restream himself. We got to get him on the show. But yeah, it was great to be back. Like I miss doing this. And we can get to do it for a couple of weeks. Now we're back. We got little visual graphics and aids and
more stuff going on. And then, okay, hold on. That was meant to be visual graphics.
Thank you.
Visual aids. You understand what I'm saying? All right, on that note, let's sign off. Mike, thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter at @BuyMikeLuciano. Follow me on Twitter at Justin T. Fried. Follow the Jet Press at Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast wherever you get podcasts. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. You could also become a member today, as we talked about, is 99 cents. It's a great way to help support the show. You get your comments prioritized in chat, and you could also gift memberships, holy crap, to other people, as we saw us Austrian Jets fan do earlier. This is what happens when we don't do the show for 2 weeks. We forget.
We're out of practice.
We're rusty. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for listening to the Jet Press podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano. We'll see you guys next week.
Good to be back.